Hello and welcome back. So today I'm going to talk about this shot of the Stereophonics in Cwmaman, their hometown. So sometimes my recollections of these things isn't going to be the most factually accurate, but they are my memory. So word gets around had just come out, and Kerrang Magazine were doing a feature, like a sort of, not an introducing as such, but maybe the next feature on from that one-page new band feature that you might get in a magazine. I'd heard about the Stereophonics and I had shot them already at, I think it was V96, and got a shot of them with Richard Branson. They'd just recently been signed to V2 Records. You know, there was a real buzz about them and I was really excited to do their first proper shoot, really. I seem to remember driving there, and I don't have many sort of anxieties or phobias, but I do have one, and it involves suspension bridges, and I can be driven over suspension bridges, no problem. But when it comes to me driving myself over one, I don't know what happens, but it just basically makes me feel really uncomfortable, and there's a word for it. And it's just got worse as time has gone on. But obviously to get to Wales you have to go over quite a big suspension bridge. It wasn't an issue at that time because this was 1997, and in the 20 or so years since it has got worse. So I went to do this shoot and it was all about, you know, so word gets around has just come out. It was really getting a glimpse into, you know, their hometown and getting some shots out and about. So we had a wander around, tried to find a few sort of interesting looking locations, and actually in a place like Cwmaman, you know, it's a small place, everyone knows each other. We didn't spend ages wandering around, but there was one moment where there was quite an interesting looking wall, and it had some, you know, great texture and a bit of simple graffiti, and there were these two little girls. They were just sort of mucking around, playing around. They just looked like little street urchins in this picture, but they were talking and they were saying something like, "Oh, Gavin is a dick," and they said it and they didn't realise we were listening, but we all just started roaring with laughter, and particularly Stuart, who had the biggest bombastic laugh, said the F word a lot, in a way that I can't erase from my mind when I try and think of him. But basically they just all cracked up, and it was just one of those brilliant moments. Stuart's laugh being so bombastic and loud, it was absolutely terrifying to these poor little girls, who then just were like looking on in, in absolute terror. On closer inspection, I mean, I didn't notice at the time, but when you look at the wall, it's got the most incredible graffiti, like Becca was ya, I was you, Donna was you, I love you by me. Obviously was spelt W-O-Z and love spelt L-U-V. But yeah, I just love it. I love the grit and the vibe and the honesty and the realism, and just, you know, capturing a real life. Because that's the thing, you take pictures, it's not always a very natural thing to do, is it? So, you know, taking a band onto a street corner and just going, okay, look like you were just hanging out, it's a bit forced sometimes. So when something like this, when a magical moment happens where everyone's off guard and you capture just that little split second, then that's where the magic happens. But yeah, that was what, 24 years ago, and here we are today. It was only a couple of years later that we did the Performance and Cocktails album cover. For their last album, I got to work with the band again. That's brilliant, isn't it? See you next time.